committee meeting of the Land Use and UW Extension to order. My name is Alan Barkstrom and I represent District Number 8. We will be holding some public hearings this morning, and so when that occurs, if you would sign up to speak, and then if you do speak on the hearings, you'll be going to that podium and saying your name and where you live, and then you should be addressing the committee. And you'll be allowed 3 minutes for that. So with that, we'll take the roll.
Good morning. Alan Barkstrom.
Here.
Michelle Drobnik.
Here.
Doug Erickson.
Here.
Jason Hastings.
Here.
Robert Kopish.
Here.
Larry Mivas.
Here.
Rachel Hoffman is excused. Thank you.
Okay, is there any public comments relative to zoning? Any public comments? Anybody online, *6 to unmute? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Is there any communications from any member of the committee? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the first public hearing, which is, we're just going to hold one this morning. So the time is 9:01, and it's a conditional use permit filed by Sarah Hoagland for the purpose of operating an in-home daycare on property located within part of government lots 9 and 18, section 18, township 37 north, range 1 east, town of Elk. Fire number is N8764.
Letters of notification were sent to Daniel James Jackson, James and Dorothy Zielinski, Joseph Hall, Edward Beelan, Jeremy Bolton, Timothy and Tashi Kemkis, Helen Kakaba, John Floystad, Gunnard and Sarah Hoagland, and the town of Elk, Regina Damjanovic.
We didn't get anything back for
Nothing back.
communications on this.
Okay, it's, in my mind, it's a welcome application. We need that kind of service. I see that, they're planning for 8 children. Yeah. Okay, well, then I'll declare that the, public hearing be closed. The time is 9:02. And we'll move on to agenda item number 4, which is the decision on conditional use permit filed by Sarah Hoagland for the purpose of operating an in-home daycare on property located within part of government lots 9 and 18, section 18, township 37 north, range 1 east, town of Elk, fire number N8764.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Michelle Dudnick, seconded by Bob Kopish. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll vote on the issue. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I do got a question. Evan, there's no special requirements for operating a daycare or nothing? I just thought there was a state issue and stuff for whatever reason.
They still do need to get licensed through the
Okay.
state as a daycare provider. However, as far as their conditional use permit goes for
Gotcha.
the land use itself, there's nothing else besides this that we would need, but they still will need to get licensed through
Okay.
the state.
It's a highly regulated industry.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's certain number requirements where if you get above a certain number, you need different licensing. I'm not familiar with that. That's the state's end, and I don't know what exactly those are.
Yeah, we have a employee in health.
Nick
and
probably
Ser-
knows.
Yeah,
He's
Health and Human Services does
On the
that.
daycare board.
Oh yeah, that was different when we were on
Yeah.
the daycare board. But yeah, Health and Human Services has an employee that certifies daycares for the state.
But that's separate from zoning.
Yep.
Purposes.
Okay, we'll close then the public hearings and we'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is a land division filed by Doug Rasmussen to create one lot in the town of Elk.
There should have been, I a copy of the proposed map in your packets or emailed to you. There's a meets and bounds description along with a map. The lot's 300 feet by approximately 650. There's no issues with this land division.
Okay,
Just a comment. This is the map I got. I can't see from this map.
Do you want mine?
What can't you see?
I can't
This
see where
isn't
the lot
colored.
is. It's all
Colored.
black.
No, that's a different one.
Oh.
Well, you
Okay,
can
don't
s-
take this one then.
Okay.
You can see like the 4.48 acres, 650 by 300 feet.
Oh, it's this. This here?
No, not that.
That's not it. Oh, that's the other one, I think, right? That's the
daycare.
daycare.
Yeah, there it is.
This one?
Oh yeah, yours scanned much worse than this. My black and white one is much more legible than that.
Yeah.
Do you want a few copies scanned real quick?
I don't need a copy.
Otherwise, I can show it to you.
Yeah, I just want to see where it is.
2060, so.
Where is it?
It's this whole thing here.
Yeah,
Right here.
it's well
From
above
here to
the
here.
1 acre minimum. It's like 4.5 acres,
I think-
4.48
Yeah,
to be specific.
I hear. You can see it when you point it out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't scan as nicely as.
That's the old Rasmussen farm. Okay, motion by Kopish to approve the lot.
I'll second.
Seconded by Doug Erickson. Any discussion? We'll vote on it. All those in favor of the land division signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Land division is approved. Agenda item number 6, land division filed by Sam Kotke on behalf of Vicky Gago to create one lot town of Flambeau.
You should have a copy of the CSM in your packet as well. Another 5 acre lot, 4.65, if you take away the road right away. It doesn't have any issues. It basically square, got plenty of frontage on County Road F. This one would just need approval as well.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Michelle Drobnik,
I'll second that.
seconded by Doug Erickson to approve the land division. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Land division is approved. Department reports.
Get a copy of the 2025 permit report, as well as there should be a 2024 in there. You can see year over year, they're very similar numbers. Land use permits are within a couple. Sanitary permits are a little bit higher this year. Otherwise, it's really consistent with where we were last year.
I got it. Evan, one of my neighbors complained about the system with the pumping of tanks. And we used to get the cards and then we'd have to give the card to the pumper and the pumper would fill it out and send it back, right? Now you send the cards right to the pumpers? Or what
Cards still
happens?
go to the homeowner.
Well, I haven't gotten one in a long time. I just had mine
Get
pumped.
your- That's why you don't get one. If you get it pumped, the pumper goes in without the card. You don't need the card. The pumper goes into our online database.
Okay,
Like if I called him to go pump my septic tank, he'd go pump it. He'd go directly into the online database, fill out that he pumped it, so a card wouldn't be generated to be mailed.
okay, so no cards anymore.
There's cards, yeah. If you don't pump it,
If
get a
you
card.
don't pump it, you get a card.
Correct. But if you're pumping it on schedule, you
Yeah.
don't get a card,
Okay,
which
Well,
helps
that's
out.
why I
We
didn't
don't-
get a card. Yeah.
We don't deal with the printing and the postage.
Oh,
for
yeah,
people
okay.
that- So the pumpers actually don't even need the cards. They just they document what they
So
pump.
they come and
go-
they pump, they go back, they put it on a computer, they fill it out, and we're all set. Okay, all right.
I don't get a card either. Same thing.
Yeah, well, I thought we used to get cards as a notice that we had to have it pumped, and that's what it used to be.
Yes, and yeah, it's better now. The pumpers
Well,
are better about,
I like this. I don't, it's fine, but.
and
one
it
of-
saves us the
One of my
postage and the
neighbors was
mailing.
having and I couldn't explain what was going on, so.
Yeah, I don't understand the people that get their system pumped and then get mad that they don't get a card. Some people, we get yelled at for pestering people with cards, and we get yelled at for not sending cards. So I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for Evan?
I do.
Jason?
I asked in the last meeting, how many acres of managed forest land are in Price County? Where is that documented?
That'd probably be in the treasurer's office, I would guess, would probably have or the DNR. They handle, you're talking MFL open, MFL closed, MFL in
MFL.
general. You asked at this meeting? How many
No,
acres? Oh,
Oh, F forestry, and then they ran a report to give that 92,000 acres. Or not 90, sorry. That
You
was
said
92 is county.
yeah,
land, right?
county forest is 92.
County
I
forest.
don't, what was the number? Do you remember?
160, yeah.
Yeah, one.
Of MFL? Okay, yeah, I don't know. We don't handle MFL.
So the Register of Deeds is the answer?
It would be in our tax software.
Our tax
so-
roll might have a idea. That's why I would maybe ask the treasurer, and if it wasn't in that, because
Oak League might be able to run
Oakley
a,
might be able to run a report, or the DNR
Are you looking for a
handle
specific?
MFL.
No, I'm curious. Being the
Sylvia's
land use
here.
committee, I'm wondering how it's,
Sylvia might be able to answer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just magically appeared.
I just magically appear. Good morning. So the Managed Forest Land Program is a DNR program, and when people enter into that program through the DNR submits a recording to the Register of Deeds office designating that those parcels, usually people have more than one that they're putting into that program. So once the document is recorded, that document goes to the real property lister, and that's what changes the tax system to show that it is MFL land. But it is a program that is administered by the DNR.
But as far as running a report on acreage,
I'm sure Oakley could run you a report to show you the MFL for open and closed for the county, because there's different designations. You know, there's after 2004, before 2004, depending on when people enrolled. And there's 25-year programs, 50-year programs. So depending on what they're enrolling in.
that leads me to my next question.
Mhm.
Are you able to do the same thing for conservation easements?
Conservation easements are different because easements can or cannot be recorded. You know, we record the document in Register of Deeds, but we can't run you a report to tell you who has an easement on a property, who doesn't have an easement on a property. That would require a title search. So you'd have to do a land search, and sometimes easements aren't recorded. Does that help answer?
So there's basically not a real way to determine
Yeah.
the exact acreage of land in conservation easement.
Okay,
Is kind of,
Yeah, easements are not kept track of on the property tax website because they don't affect ownership of a property.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I'm sure I will.
So I would, if you have questions about the Register of Deeds office or what we record or how the tax system works, I would just encourage you to stop by the office. We're happy to help answer or show you, you know, the steps or procedures of.
Are you able to sit in on this meeting, Sylvia?
I can sit in on the meeting if the committee is asking me to. I don't necessarily, there's nothing I need to speak about. I just happened to hear your question about the MFL, and that's the process of the DNR program with us.
Well, you're pretty quick to respond anyway, so.
if we have questions, we'll yell your name.
Stop.
Thanks, Sylvia. Okay, if there's no other questions for Evan, we'll adjourn this portion of the meeting and we'll move into land conservation. The call to order and the roll call will be the same. And we'll open it up to public comments, and we do have Karen Kerner who is with us. Karen is a prominent member of our community, and she has some issues and concerns, and she wants to speak to those this morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Does that turn that on? Does the light go on?
Quick question. Alan, is this 3 minutes or more?
Let's go for 3, and I will probably allow more if she needs it.
Okay, thank you.
I cut it down, so hopefully it's less than 3. Well, good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Karen Kerner, and I've asked to speak to you on my behalf in regards to the Wisconsin Wildlife Damage Abatement and Claims Program. Your decision that was made on October 23rd to remove me from the program that was based on the administrative codes and the information that was identified in the packet that you received in the letter dated October 20th of 2025 from Chris Kaiser, the Wildlife Damage Specialist for the state of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Pointed out in the letter that I maintain an accurate hunting log. B, no person may possess a deer carcass. And C, falsely registering deer using my name and customer ID number. My binder here today contains all the logs and all the information that I have received for the multiple years that I was in this program. With this information requested, it was available for your review at the county board meeting back on September 18th. However, the DNR did not have their information, but requested my removal from the program, but they weren't prepared that day. Based on my information and my opinion, APHIS and the DNR have a lack of transparency between those two departments within this program. Second, I did not ever violate a deer or have been investigated for or found guilty of possessing a non-tagged, non-registered deer carcass. All deer that have gone through this program on my farm have been registered properly and documented with the state of Wisconsin and have a confirmation number to go along with that. And thirdly, all the deer registered, yes, by me with my customer ID number and the harvest identification number that goes with my customer number. By me, because the fact that all that information is addressed to me, my name with those are my numbers. I'm responsible in the program to identify 80% of the deer kills by September 15th. That's addressed in the program.
Just a quick notice. It is 3 minutes, so up to you.
Okay, I'm almost done. If I don't have that stuff correctly documented in that timely manner, my claims don't get received. So it's that simple. So I register them for that purpose. Last thing I'd like to mention is the paragraph, the last paragraph in the letter that the DNR sent to you stated, pursuant to NR 13.37-4A7, a determination that I, Karen Kerner, have been uncooperative would render me ineligible for any further program claims assistance, including payment claims for the remainder of 2025 through December 31st of 2026, meaning removing me for this year, no payments, and next year as well. I understand that your decision has already been made based on the information that they had given you in that packet and that letter at the October 23rd board meeting. I had unforeseen issues on my farm that morning and got here shortly after 9 and was able to speak that day and tell you the same thing. All I do is I request today to read to you that NR 13.374A7. And if somebody could help me understand why I'm ineligible, that would be great. The Wisconsin Chapter NR 13 Administrative Code talks about the Chippewa Treaty Rights participants. It's a document that I printed off the state website. So if we go back to 13.37, it's a modification to administered code related to trapping small game, fur-bearing, and protected animals. I'm sorry, but it has nothing to do with this program. DNR, I don't know what they were trying to say in their letter to you, but they have falsely accused me of doing something that has nothing to do with anything. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Karen. Anybody else in the room or online that would wish to speak to public comments? Jenny?
Jenny Strobel, Town of Georgetown. This is pertaining to
Speaking in the mic.
number 11. She was shorter than me. This would restrict land from development if these grants are applied to and received. It forever limits the new taxpayers from buying land to build. This corporation can come and go, but restrictions last forever. We already have national forests, county forests, and even town forests for production. The board talks about housing availability. Price County needs land to build on, not more added restrictions and land with lowered taxes. Even in Georgetown, 3 were sold recently and people are building. Passing this on to the county board is an endorsement, even if you don't agree with it. This is your responsibility. Don't pass the buck. That's the way it's supposed to work. Passing this guarantees that nothing will change ever on that land. Put this to a vote, please, and vote no.
Thank you, Jenny. Is there anybody else wish to speak in public comments? Okay, hearing none. Is there any communications from other members of the committee that wish to speak? I'm going to take the opportunity to speak during communications from the committee, and I'll speak to the presentation that we just heard from Karen Kerner, who is a prominent member of our community. But I just wanted to say that her issue was on the agenda twice with the DNR, and the last time, and she, for whatever reason, was not able to attend. That's why she attended today. But as I look at I just have the letter and I just read it again. What she talks about, this whole issue as far as wildlife damage is administered by the state by statute, and we did have a finding with this committee, and we didn't find in favor of Mrs. Kerner. So, but I would suggest that if she does have an argument that there may be an appeal to the DNR, possibly, because right now I don't feel that this committee could take it up again. I would hope that they would be fair and hear you. So that's all I would have to say. Okay, we're going to move on to presentation of the Headwater Rivers Forest Agenda Item number 11, owned by Aurora Sustainable Lands.
I had a communication, Alan.
Okay,
My communication is this, this was already voted down in a different committee. What authority do we have to vote this down?
we don't have any authority.
Is there a decision or an outcome to this?
Well, the decision from this committee was to sustain the allegations made by the DNR. So she would.
He's talking about conservation.
The what?
This next item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's referencing.
I voted no in the forestry committee to this, so here we are again. Our voices mean nothing in this situation. It was already voted no. I make a motion right now to table this indefinitely.
It's on the agenda, and you can bring that up during the discussion. But we've got people here. I understand that it was tabled, and it was thought that the land committee would be in a better position to make determination, which is, so here it's on the agenda.
There's been a motion.
Hmm?
There's no second to it. Same failed.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I made a motion that we table this indefinitely, just like the last motion in the last committee.
Are you gonna do that under communications? I guess you can. So there's a motion to table. Agenda item number 11. Do I hear a second? Okay, motion fails for lack of a second. All right, the agenda says presentation by Headwaters Rivers Forest. And is there anybody present to make that presentation?
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thanks for the opportunity to bring this to this committee. Like was just discussed, we have presented this to the Forestry and Parks Committee. And it did, like you said, it seemed like this was the more appropriate committee to come to. So thank you for making time. My name is Matt Dahlman. I work for the Nature Conservancy. I live in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. My role in this is really to facilitate the landowner and the state and the financial pots of money that we look to do these easements. That's the role that the Nature Conservancy plays in this. So I'm here to talk about a project that's landing in Price, Sawyer, and Bayfield County. It's about 26,000 acres, about 2,019 acres or so that falls into Price County itself.
How many Price County?
2019 of the 26,000 acres total.
Right.
And what the purpose and the intent is to get this committee's thoughts and feedback. And then eventually we're going to take this or need to take this to the full county board for support. So we are thinking that at some point, really it is to get feedback from this committee, get your ideas and thoughts, and then request a meeting at the full board. So with me, I have Ron Gropp with the DNR. He's got some slides to share with you all, and then the manager for the owner of the land, Forrest Gibo, is here. So I'm going to make my presentation short, pass it over to Ron so we can get into the slides. So thank you again for taking time.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Chairman Barkstrom, thank you for having us today.
Welcome.
Members of the committee. As Matt mentioned, my name is Ron Gropp. I work for Wisconsin DNR Division of Forestry, and one of my roles is to manage what we call our Forest Legacy Program. Just a real quick check-in. Can you hear me okay?
We
Yeah.
can.
Okay, perfect. And so I'm here to just speak generally about Forest Legacy, what it's all about, the tool that we use to help protect private forest lands here in the state of Wisconsin, and then offer up a few more slides of information. I think I have a slide deck of about 7 or 8 slides. So if you could advance to the next slide, please. Or is that something I can do? Okay, Forest Legacy. Forest Legacy Program, its primary purpose is to protect environmentally important forest lands that are threatened to conversion to non-forest use. That's essentially its primary purpose. A close second is to keep working forest landscapes in Wisconsin working. And what I mean by that is when we talk about the forest products industry here in Wisconsin, it is a significant component to the state's economic engine. It ranks second only to the dairy industry in terms of economic output. So it's kind of a big deal. One of the other things that we know about forestry in Wisconsin is the majority of the raw materials that are generated that fuel or go to our wood using industry come from private land. Okay, so about 2/3. So not state, not county, not federal. Private lands play a really, really important role in supporting local and regional economies that are based on timber, forest products, and things in those regards.
Next question.
Sure.
Well, in your definition, what is the definition of private property?
Well, it's those properties that are held in private ownership. It could be a family forest owner, it could be corporations, anything that is not associated with being federally, state, or county owned is essentially, how we would look at in terms of, what's considered private property. So, a big corporation and we have, large tracts of land here in Wisconsin that are owned by what we call Timber Investment Management Organizations, or TIMOs. That's just kind of part of the ownership pattern here in Wisconsin. The largest ownership group in Wisconsin happens to be family forest owners. They own upwards of 10 million acres here in the state of Wisconsin. Corporations such as TIMOs own about 1.6 million. So they're not a large owner, or certainly not the largest ownership group here in Wisconsin, but they do own a fair amount of land here in the state.
But you guys are wanting to impose restrictions on this. So that goes against what you just said, what the definition of private property is.
Well, it's really the landowner's decision to put land use restrictions on the property that they own. It's really not DNR imposing any restrictions at all. It's the landowner's decision. The Forest Legacy is administered in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service, State and Private Forestry. We do that in partnership in terms of receiving funding to support program administration and the acquisition of conservation easements. Public benefits that often come associated with conservation easements with the Forest Legacy Program are essentially related to the economic, the social, and the environmental benefits noted by the diagram that I have on there. So when we look at landowners who come to us, by the way, in a very voluntary manner, right? They come to us and they ask us if we're interested in purchasing a conservation easement from them. we take a very thoughtful approach to looking at, all right, the environmental considerations, the social considerations, and the economic considerations. We're really looking at, certainly what this landowner wants to do, but also what is the public benefit? What is the public benefit to doing this? Certainly recreation, access. We certainly want to maintain those things. Continued production of traditional forest products, essential to maintaining our working forest landscapes here in the state of Wisconsin. Next slide, please. So what is a conservation easement? It's essentially a land use restriction on that property. That is essentially a landowner decision. They retain ownership of the property, right? So what they're doing is they're essentially selling certain rights that they hold, just like any landowner in here. Is there any landowners in here? Yeah. Okay, as a landowner, you do a lot of things with the property that you own. And one of those things that you can do is you can protect it from being subdivided or fragmented, if you will, into other uses. And some landowners feel very strongly about their property. They want to maintain and protect it. And typically the tool that they use is a conservation easement. Let's see, next slide, please. All right, so this slide kind of demonstrates the concern that we see in Wisconsin. I think the next slide will also illustrate that, but when we talk about, why conservation easements, in addition to the environmental, social, and economic benefits, what we see on the landscape here occurring in Wisconsin is this, we see certainly fragmentation, but even more concerning is the level of parcelization that is occurring. And essentially what we see, the trend, and if we can advance to the next slide here real quickly.
Okay. Interrupt. I got a question.
Sure.
Yeah. What are you basing this off of that you're saying that you're preventing people from building on it? Why? I mean, what's wrong with people building on land?
Well, again, it's not our decision. It's the landowner's decision to apply this land use restriction on their property. So it's really the landowner making that decision that they don't want it to be subdivided or built upon. They want to keep it sort of in its current form and to continue producing these traditional public benefits that we all enjoy, like access, recreation, the nature-based outdoor recreation activities that we all enjoy here in Wisconsin. So again, why conservation easement? So these two graphs sort of show kind of what we see going on here in Wisconsin. So on the left-hand side, what this shows are, and this is family forest owners, 10 plus acres here in Wisconsin. Going back to 1997, the average ownership size was about 37 acres. Since then, it's declined to less than 25 acres. And so what we see through this process of forest fragmentation is more and more landowners owning smaller and smaller parcels, right? And that comes with some challenges that I'll get into a little bit. On the right-hand side of this slide, we look at managed forest law large account ownerships. And large account ownerships are defined as those ownerships 1,000 acres or larger that are enrolled in Wisconsin. And what you can see here is this declining enrollment in the program. And one of the reasons is large corporations are divesting their interests in land ownership in Wisconsin. So going back again, about 26 years ago, back in 1999, we had about 1.2 million acres, 1.1 million acres enrolled in MFL in the large count. And over time, we are now right around 650-ish acres. So we use this as sort of a barometer in terms of what's going on in Wisconsin. And I think it certainly meshes with the trends we're seeing is, certainly more and more landowners owning smaller and smaller parcels. And what the large landowners are doing is, even though they still own a relatively significant amount of land in Wisconsin, they are selling off, kind of 40s, 80s here and there that, they deem as, higher and better use. But what we see is this concerning declining trend. And when we connect it to the forest products industry, the economics here in the state, it becomes really important to protect these remaining large blocks of forest land in Wisconsin. Again, it's the second leading economic contributor to the state's economy. Private lands contribute the majority of the raw materials that go to our wood using industry. And so protecting what we have becomes really, really important.
Nick, you said that MFL parcels are up in the forestry meeting, right?
I have a question that just basically, now you're saying the large group, but are the little group MFL actually going up? Because I know in our township it is, and I believe in our county it also is.
Yeah, so just a disclaimer, I'm not the MFL expert for DNR Division of Forestry, but I can speak a little bit to some of the basics. We do know that right now there are about what we call 50,000 orders in the program. I think all told, roughly, I want to say 3.5 million acres in the program. Yep. And on average, we see about 1,500 to 1,600 new enrollments every year in the program. And so if they're buying, property from big corporations who are selling off, what they're doing is they're turning around and enrolling it into the program at a reduced rate.
That's a good thing for environmentalists, but not a good thing for our tax base. Want to say that?
Next slide, please. Okay, funding sources, a little bit about where does the money come from for acquiring conservation easements. So certainly the Federal Forest Legacy Program, that funding comes through what's called the Land and Water Conservation Fund, right? I want to stress that the LWCF is not state taxpayer money. That fund is funded through offshore revenues, okay? And even though Congress appropriates the money, it is not taxpayer money. LWCF, prior to the Great American Outdoors Act, which was signed into law under the first Trump administration, I believe, was not permanently authorized. The GAOA permanently authorized LWCF. And so roughly between 90 and 95 million out of that fund becomes available to Forest Legacy to fund easement acquisitions across the entire United States, not just Wisconsin, but just across the entire US. All told, LWCF is funded to the tune of about, I think, 900 million. So the federal allocation that goes to Legacy is a relatively small portion. From the Knowles Nelson stewardship side of things, this is the program that we typically use to match the federal funds if we're successful in getting them. Because the federal funds does require a 25% match. So federal funds 75, states landowners going to come up with another 25% match. Typically in Wisconsin, what we've done is we've used the Knowles Nelson stewardship program to help with that match. Now that funding source does come from taxpayer money that's legislatively approved and authorized, comes through a number of different mechanisms through bonding authority, GPR, general purpose revenue, and of course through the forestry seg account, which is funded to the tune of about 13.5 million annually. Next slide, please. All right, I want to talk, the next two slides kind of speak to the economic impact of easement acquisitions. We've got some information that's out there available. You can read at the bottom of the slide there, the reference to the DNR Forestry Technical Note, where this information comes from. Essentially, the findings are that conservation easements really have little to no effect on the tax base. And I've got some slides coming up here that will sort of demonstrate that. But a landowner placing a conservation easement on a property doesn't really impact the local taxing of, or how a local unit authority taxes it. In fact, there's probably a net positive economic benefit to placing a conservation easement on a large piece of property. In that,
what are you basing that on?
Well, again, the information that we found in the research here that's shown in that particular document. Conclusions are that keeping working forests working and open to the public have multiple benefits. Obviously, it ensures the continued flow of timber supplies, provides opportunities for outdoor recreation, access, and in some cases, motorized vehicle access. Right, some of the large landowners have closed their gates. Historically, they used to be open, right, to the public. Yeah, just drive in. Some landowners have taken a different approach and they've closed the gates. And so they only open them if they open them for during certain times of the year, or they just simply keep them closed. One of the things that we often negotiate with the landowners is motorized access, so that we sort of, open some of those gates so that people can actually enjoy the interior portions of those properties. Next slide, please. All right. This slide sort of shows, again, the impact on the mill rate. Municipalities with no public access land, so essentially with no conservation easements, in terms of what we're talking about, its impact on the mill rate. So those with none, the mill rate tends to be higher than those with 0 to 25% public access lands. And you can see that it has even a greater impact on lands with 50% public access lands, where the mill rates tend to be lower on average. So the conclusion here is that the cost of community services is relatively low. When you protect the property with a conservation easement, right? I mean, there's no development, there's no roads, there's really nothing. So the investment at the local unit is relatively small, if not non-existent. We add value through a number of different ecosystem services, clean air, clean water, we all know about, certainly wildlife habitat, good conservation on the ground, and continued flow of, wood products sustaining local and regional economies. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so what I did is I looked at, so these next 3 slides are all about, well, how are they being taxed post and pre and post easement acquisition? So I looked at 3 different properties in 3 different counties. And the first one that I have up here is in Sawyer County, right next door, and what we call our Lake of the Pines conservation easement. And the blue line kind of represents the total assessed value. And we're looking at just a 40-acre piece here, but just it represents, the total property. This easement is about 20,000 acres. We acquired this easement back in 2018. And so in 2017, you can see the assessed value was about 40, north of 40,000 there. And since then, it's remained flat. So the impact on the easement on this property has essentially been 0. The orange line represents the fair market value. And so you can see it kind of fluctuates a little bit, but then, after 2022 looks like, it's kind of the trajectory is certainly trending upward in that regard. Next slide, please.
Question.
Bob has a question.
This issue. On this question on this issue, and the assessed value and the fair market value don't always agree.
Yep.
And generally, from a property tax standpoint, if a municipality gets outside of, the state determines equalized value every year, and that's based upon more of the fair market value, what's happening with sales. And if a community, a tax district gets outside of 10% plus or minus, within 5 years, they have to reassess.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have property that just got reassessed. And I have a 5-acre parcel in town of Flambeau. It was at 10,200. Now my reassessment is 22,200. So I would expect that blue line is going to catch up to that red line. I'm not sure what you're trying to show here, other than the fact that values are going up. But those 2 lines should come together over time. I don't know if that's what he's showing. I'm not sure what you're trying to show.
What I'm trying to show is that the local taxing authority, the impact of the easement on the local taxing authorities and how they are assessing the taxes on that property, the effect of the easement essentially has no impact.
It didn't go down.
Well, okay, that's what you're trying to show, that because these went into conservation easement, the value didn't go down. The value is still going up just like every other property. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, then I
And
understand.
like you said, Bob, it should be reassessed within a couple of years because the gap is getting so large. So
Yep.
you're showing again, it didn't go down. We don't know if how far it'll go up, but that would be an
Correct.
assessment issue.
Correct. Yep. And you can see I didn't have 2025 numbers. So yeah, I would expect, looking at this next year, we would expect that blue line maybe to.
Experience on my property.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, what I'm just trying to show here is that, how the property has been assessed Since the easement has been placed on these particular properties, it has not changed.
That all sounds fine and dandy, but we just learned that we can't even find that on a map. It's ghosted off of the map. That I could not go into the register of deeds and see that what you're saying is true.
I'm not quite sure I follow. What couldn't you find on the map?
If we pull up Beacon, you can't see it. There's a conservation easement anywhere.
Well, I don't know that a
said you
conservation
can't.
easement would be mapped at the local county register. Certainly, we have all of our easements mapped on our maps. So if you go to the public access land scale map on the DNR webpage, you'll find all of the conservation easements that we have acquired in Wisconsin.
All the private properties there.
Yeah, you can engage the parcel data layer. Yep, and see who owns what, and you can see who all of the different conservation easements on the landscape.
I'll make another comment if I can.
Sure.
Your time frame may not be long enough to prove your point. Because if assessment doesn't get done for 10 years, I don't think they would go in and spot reassess because of a conservation easement. So that may not reflect what you're trying to.
It may not.
It may not.
It may not.
Yeah.
And I'm
'Cause
only
I-
using the
Because you're
information that
using
was available. to
5
me.
years, 4 years, 5 years. And again, it may not happen for 10 years until they go outside of the 10% and they're forced to do it.
Yep.
And we only have 2 municipalities in all Wisconsin, all Price County that are within the 10 plus or minus 10% at this, and they're reassessing like crazy. We got some that are under 40%,
Mhm.
But they haven't done it because they haven't had to,
Sure.
because it costs money.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
okay. All right. Thank you.
And that other slideshow said that Price County owns over 25% of the managed forest land. That doesn't seem right either. In Wisconsin.
I'm not quite sure how many acres are in MFL in Price County. I can't speak to that.
160,000, and it was like 600,000 for the whole state. Just doesn't. Your slides are inaccurate, sir.
Well, I'm not talking about MFL. I'm talking about conservation easements.
Finish your presentation, Ron.
Yep. Next slide, please. Okay, this is Iron County. This is our Twin Lakes easement. This is about a 14,000 acre easement up in Iron County, town of Knight. Same kind of a deal, going way back to 2013. We acquired this easement in 2014. Again, assessed the value over the last, it looks like I've got a fairly decent representation. They're going, at least 10 years, maybe 11 years. The assessed value has stayed flat. And of course, the fair market value continues to go up. So again, yep. Just to demonstrate the impact of the easement on these properties has really been negligible. Next slide, please. All right, I threw this slide up here just to demonstrate. So what are we paying when we buy a conservation easement? What are we paying on a per acre basis? And this shows you sort of what we've paid in the past. And we paid as high as a little over $600 per acre. And with our most recent acquisition, Pelican River Forest 2 over in Oneida County, Forest and Langlade, we paid $255 an acre. So it's a very broad, I would say a broad range, but a range. And I think the average probably falls within that, $325, $350 per acre range. So we buy an easement, we're not paying, the full market value. We're buying certain rights that the landowner decides to sell to us. And typically those are the development rights. Those rights have value. And typically it's on average what we've seen about 40% of fair market value. And so that's what this slide is attempting to represent. So if we buy an easement, in fact, if we buy an easement from Aurora Sustainable Lands on this 26,000 acres, this demonstrates to you where, kind of a ballpark, what we would pay on a per acre basis for acquiring that easement. All right, next slide, please. All right, last slide here. I was pleased to find the Price County Land and Water Resource Management Plan on page 34 that you are apparently supportive of the Forest Legacy Program and conservation easements in MFL. Under your objectives, you have stated protect critical plant and animal habitats, including large blocks of forested land. That's really right up our alley in terms of forest legacy and what we're attempting to do here to protect these remaining large private industrial tracts on the landscape. And then your activities, you state, encourage landowners of large wooded acreage to maintain and properly manage their land by investigating and sharing information on appropriate programs and methods such as forest legacy, MFL, and conservation easements. So I just want to extend a huge thanks of appreciation for recognizing the important value and benefit of these programs that they have.
Where is that? Page 34 of what?
The Price County Land and Water Resource Management Plan.
Is that in our comprehensive plan for the forestry? What?
And I think that's all I have for the committee. I'd certainly,
We'll probably be asking you other questions, Ron.
yeah, I'm happy to entertain
During our-
additional
our
questions.
deliberations, is there, but there's another gentleman in the room. Is he going to speak too?
I'm available for questions.
You're available and, okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, I ask a couple questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is my last slide. Yes, correct. Thank you.
Just funding offshore revenue. What's the definition of that? Where does that come from?
Well, I think what it relates to is all of the, offshore drilling for oil, other resources. So when they're doing that, they have to essentially put money into this land and water conservation fund to help account for some of the resource damage that they might be creating when they're doing that activity. Yep.
And the Knowles Nelson fund, has that been reauthorized by the state yet? You know?
No, well, we don't know the status of Knowles Nelson going forward. We know we have 1 year left remaining of available funding. It sunsets at June 30, 2026. We don't know where reauthorization is going at this time.
And finally, how do you determine payment per acre? You said assessed value. Is it vary depending on where location, or is there a set formula?
We essentially, in order to determine valuation, we have an appraisal completed.
Yes.
Yep. And so we'll hire a contractor to go out and appraise that property and come back with that valuation.
Okay, you get that number, but then how do you determine how much per acre off of that number? Is it a certain percentage, or is there a set of guidelines? Like, one piece of property might be 100,000, and the other piece of property might be 100,000. One will get 300 per acre, one will get 150 per acre. How do you determine that price?
That's the job of the appraiser.
To determine the value of it, but how do you determine the value of what you're going to pay?
Well, that's what the appraiser tells us. So when they're going through their process, they're looking at all the different comps. I think
I understand how
yeah
land is appraised.
Yep.
But how does the DNR determine what that figure is going to be? That dollar per acre figure is going to be?
The appraiser tells us what the before and the after value is, and that's what we use.
Of the land, but what about purchase price of the easement?
That's what I'm saying. The before and after value takes into account.
Okay, I guess I'm thinking of as a general appraiser, and you have specific appraisers for this type of a deal. Is that correct?
Well, we certainly have qualified appraisers that we go to, that we contract out to, and they have to follow, federal Yellow Book standards when they're going through this. But it's basically the difference between the before and the after value, and that's what gives us the appraised value of those rights that the landowner is selling us.
I think I got it. Thank you.
You can see how it takes the price of land and goes for our taxpayers that are surrounding that. They all got to pick up the burden that they create with that.
But no, that's incorrect. That's not what the data is showing.
Well, you got lines on paper. That doesn't mean anything to us.
Yeah, I have another question. Why are you here? What do you expect out of this committee? It went to forestry already, Jason, apparently, and there's a proposed resolution or whatever it was, and they said no.
Correct.
Okay, and even though our forest management plan is, as the gentleman showed, has this kind of thing in it, so I would assume that's a forest,
Land and water resources.
land and water resources, but it had conservation and all that kind of stuff in it, which I would think that would fit with what we're talking about, right? Okay, so I'm trying to connect those dots, that they said no, and then they said no, and then why are you here? We generally don't have committees trumping other committees. Generally, it goes from the committee to the board, and then the board deals with it, right? So I'm wondering what's the purpose? I appreciate the presentation. It's good information, but what do you expect us to do?
Well, let me just address it. Yeah, so it's a great question and thank you for asking it.
Yeah.
So with these types of acquisitions, my department leadership from DNR has said, look, Ron, before we make any sort of commitment, we want to make sure that local units of government are supportive. And so what that means is we want you to go out and have these conversations early on and often, right? To build this coalition of support so that when we do go before the county board and ask for a resolution to support this project, we want the committees, we want local units of government to at least understand and be aware of what we're doing.
Yep.
And then, hopefully support it. Now, and specifically, if we're going to use Nelson stewardship money as the match, in statute, it requires that we get local unit of government support to use that funding source.
Okay.
Right. And that typically comes through an affirmative resolution that allows us to do that.
That's really the issue here, isn't it?
I mean, that's
You
certainly
need
part of the
counties on
issue.
board in order to
Yep.
take advantage of your funding opportunities.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I would just question that the last committee meeting, I think there was a motion, but it was never a no. I mean, it was tabled, and that's why when we talked to the chair of that forestry committee, they said maybe it's more appropriate to come to this committee because it's land use. So that's why it got moved from forestry.
That's why
to
we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't
It was
a no.
chair of forestry committee and chair of the board. I was part of that
Okay.
conversation also. I thought it would be good to get more information.
Okay.
And Jeff, the head of the forestry committee, at the time of that meeting, he indicated that maybe it should go to this committee too.
So they postponed this issue.
Tabled it.
Tabled it.
They
Well, then
tabled
it
it.
should be taken up right within the meeting. You got
Right,
table and
so
postponing are two
There
different
was
things.
a resolution proposed that was tabled, so the resolution dies, but you can at any time bring a like resolution or like subject forward, but that's up to the chairs and that's where.
Well, I don't want to get into the table postpone issue,
Yeah.
but table usually stays within a
There is no
meeting,
resolution. in-
and you postpone it to another meeting or another time or indefinitely.
There is
So-
no resolution that I found.
I
in
thought
this
we could
packet.
get more information to make a better informed decision but I'm not
Well,
for or
I'm
against it.
arguing
I'm
this
just going to stay
postpone
neutral as
versus
far as
table.
this committee is
Yeah.
concerned. But I did talk to the committee chair here of this, Alan,
Yeah,
and he agreed to put it on this
yeah,
agenda as
yeah.
well.
No,
So-
okay. Now I understand maybe what's going on here.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I had this map here.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a little square here. I'm trying to figure out where this property is. You've got 2,000 acres. Is that connected to the let's see, the Kimberly Clark Wildlife Area?
Forrest? First, do you want to address that?
Sure, I can speak to it, please. Yeah, if you look at the map,
I think
it's adjacent, not directly adjacent to. So it's in Flambeau Township. So it's in that kind of west central part of the county. It has direct access from the west through a little chunk of parcel that was purchased to give it direct access. There's access to the parcel from the east, which is eased. So we wouldn't be able to grant access for the public from that location, but we've got direct road access with extremely
So
good
it's not-
trail
It's
system
not
through it.
landlocked.
It's not landlocked. Nope.
Is there recreational vehicle systems in that property now?
No. Nope. There's not an ATV or snowmobile trail.
The other question I had is I have this piece of paper here and it says track one, track cost is $13,000. Is that the price that this organization is going to pay the current landowner? Is that their
That's-
reward for that?
That is the funding amount that we are requesting for the acquisition of the easement.
Okay, so this is a transaction between the current landowner and your organization.
It would be correct.
Okay.
I have a map up, but I don't, it's located. If somebody wants to point to it, at least you have.
I have a couple other maps if I could just pass them around if you want.
It- I got a few more questions, Michelle, then I'll recognize you. Okay.
It's okay, I'm used to it.
What name it's under in the system? Like what's the deed for these properties?
Again, I think Forrest can probably better address that question.
No.
It's gonna be under fund.
So it's the red
Start-
area?
You
No.
type fund, it'll show up.
The red area.
Oh, I clicked on the right one earlier. Okay, perfect.
I'm still
Thank
not
you.
sure where this property is.
I'm Alan. I'll bring it up on the map here in a second.
With the red area on the map. So it's basically, that little road is Reynolds Road that accesses it. You have to take Price Lakes Road to Reynolds Road.
Yeah.
And then it goes in that way. And it looks like it stops about a 40 short of F. About like that is a couple miles north of Banks Road. Yeah. Looking at the map. In general, they're very poor access. Very-
Question, the square in the middle, would that be where a cabin or a house would be? That's not part of the family,
No, that's not owned by us.
not owned, just one lot in the middle,
Separate, that's another private property owner, just
right in the middle.
standard matrix. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, here we go.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's that block.
It's this yellow block here. There's multiple owned by that name, but it's this yellow block that we're
Where is it?
same shape as your red.
Kinda.
Yeah, that's.
So we haven't identified it yet, have we?
Yep. So it's this
I think
right here. Oh, Fifield would be east, almost straight east, a little bit north of that, but
So it's those little
Kimberly
yellow
South.
squares, is that what it is?
it's this large chunk here. They have multiple properties in the name of Fund, what is it, 8?
Then one other question that I have is forest crop law, this might be a question for Evan. Is that enrolled in that?
Yep.
This is MFL open.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yep, MFL open.
It's already a burden on our tax base, Alan. 30% exactly.
Is it expiring from NFL?
I'm not sure the order period, Forrest. 50-year order period.
That's this.
Yeah.
Here's the Kimberly Clark stuff, so that's okay.
So there's a tax break already on that land?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, being enrolled in MFL does give the landowner a tax deferral benefit. That's correct.
Okay, but along with that, there's cutting rules that has to be adhered to, it's managed by a forester.
Yep.
And then the taxes are applied at that time. That's the short answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea behind MFL is to ensure a sustainable flow of wood products from those properties that are enrolled. And so there's an expectation that if you're enrolled in MFL, harvesting is going to happen at some point during that order period.
Okay, Michelle, you had a question?
I do. You made me wait a long time and I might have lost a couple of them. But, okay, first of all, I guess I was under the impression that the land actually connected with the stuff in Sawyer County. Obviously, seeing this map, that's not true. So we're really, this 26,000 acres they're looking to do, I'm assuming they have, right, if I remember from the forestry
Only
committee meeting.
Price County is only 2,000 acres. That's what I
Right,
heard.
but it's 26,000 total that
Correct.
they're looking to enroll.
In other counties.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do they have, I'm just trying to remember, this was a hot couple months ago. They had support from Sawyer County already, correct?
We've spoken with Sawyer County on a couple of occasions. We are looking to re-engage with them again.
Okay.
We've communicated with all of the towns in Sawyer County, broadly supportive of the project. And we've also spoken to Bayfield County, and they have voiced their support for the project as well.
So is this all the land that they own that they're looking to do this with?
I don't believe so. I don't want to speak on behalf of Fortis, but I don't believe so.
How long have you currently owned the track in Price County? Can I ask that?
Sure. You can look on the tax.
Dude, I'm here now.
No, Nick could, right? That's what I was saying. Just click on one, click on view tax data, you'll see the last deed that was recorded. It was probably, this used to be Plum Creek land at one time in life, and then it became, was ATP, and then it became whatever. So if you. 5 years. It'd probably be that top one, that special warranty deed. So if you click on the little plus up there in 2024, it looks like they purchased 16,000 acres for $9 billion in 2024. Prior to that, I would guess that 2009, that was probably to transfer it to Northwood ATP. Correct. Yes.
Correct.
And then back in 2021 was probably Plum Creek. That'd be my.
And the way the system works, it doesn't mean like that property, because like this Northwoods transfer in 2009 was only 7,444 acres. This one was 15,999.74 acres. So you just have to be, the numbers don't line up
No.
in that way.
Blocks of land, the Plum Creek land, some of it went.
This 40 I clicked on was linked to whatever that deed sale was.
Anything,
I have
Michelle?
2 more,
Okay.
and then I will let somebody else talk because you made me wait so long. Okay, so obviously up there, it shows you're from North Carolina. What interested you in to buy land up here in northern Wisconsin anyway? Obviously.
So just like any of the other timber investment groups, our group is focused in high quality eastern hardwood forests.
What's your
So
group?
we're Aurora Sustainable Lands. So we've purchased about 100,000 acres in the state of Wisconsin. We're a newer TIMO. We've been around for about 3 years. However, we're part of mergers that have happened where the Forest Land Group, who had all the Heartwood funds, we purchased their entire portfolio of 1 million acres about 4 years ago. So we have a long history of forest investment in the eastern United States. We're the 7th largest private forest landowner in all of the U.S. The Lake States is where we have maybe 1/6 of our ownership, but most of our ownership is Appalachia in northeastern part of the U.S. But the Lake States is a place where we have a lot of interest. It's a place where there's great opportunity for meeting our mission of sustainable long-term forest management. So, and there's a lot of good opportunities here. And we talk about, the value of forest lands and the access to markets. There's a lot of interest in Wisconsin, Michigan, with particular robustness and health of the forest industry. What's happened across the East, and especially the Northeast, we've seen a lot of loss of large paper mills. We've seen a huge reduction in consumption of traditional forest products, which has constrained those markets substantially. In the Lake States, we haven't seen as much of that happen. We haven't seen as much of a correction. We have a richness of varied forest products that utilize various size and species trees. So that's the reason why. they purchased here. I live in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. I manage all of our northern assets for our portfolio and other parts of our business. We work with local consultants. So we have 60 people that live and work from Tomahawk to Hayward, Wisconsin, every day working on these assets. We currently have over 10 timber sales active in the region, and specifically tied to some of the ownership that we're talking about here. We have timber sales active at a rate probably not seen since probably that Plum Creek era. So active forest management happening again. This particular tract of property, if you look at it, has had great history of sustainable forest management. Almost all the aspen on this property has been rotated and harvested in about 2 or 3 age classes, ranging between 20 and 25 years. The northern hardwood resource has been actively managed. So this property shows that it has access for timber harvesting. Almost the entire parcel has been harvested in a sustainable manner. There's a great infrastructure of roads too that will allow for that to happen into the future.
Doesn't timber harvesting go against your carbon credit business
But
that
the
you guys
floor-
are in?
Michelle has the floor.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I have, now this one's back for you, Alan. So on here, we're not actually taking any action or anything on this today. This was just a presentation according to the agenda, correct?
We could maybe pass something, that would pass it forward or
How come that's not
reinvest
clear
it.
on the agenda?
Michelle has the floor. There's no resolution to approve or disapprove.
Yeah,
We
there
could
is.
have some motions of what we're gonna do.
Yeah, there is. I have it right here, Alan.
There's no
Where?
resolution. Wait, you'll have to formulate if you're gonna make a motion, you have to formulate it.
There was a resolution brought to the forestry committee. I have no idea why it's not on
We're
this
not,
agenda.
we're not taking, that's not our agenda.
So what's the purpose of this presentation then?
Michelle, do you have anything else?
I'm good for a minute.
Okay. Bob,
All of the land, and again, we're talking about this right here,
Correct.
that all was basically Plum Creek,
I believe so.
100%, but it's basically, I know they had a lot of land in the.
And it would have been, and then before that, back to the consolidated days.
Yeah, yeah, and so this is all in MFL.
Correct.
So what we're talking about here isn't gonna change any of the MFL.
Nope.
And the chances of this going back to something other is probably pretty slim.
Well, not necessarily.
But again, knowing where this is, I mean, there's not a lot there. There's a pretty wild land in this area that you're talking about. I've got
Yeah.
a cabin just south of there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
good. I mean, that's our entire ownership.
in the next road. I mean,
Right.
It's just, yeah,
It's very similar to
yeah, and it's,
the majority of our property across the Lake States.
Alan, if I may. Okay, my idea was to bring the presentation to this meeting. And then if this committee decides that they want to support it, you can direct whoever, Nick or whoever, to formulate a new resolution for the next committee meeting. And then that can either pass or fail, or go to the full board or not go to the full board. So I guess that's what we're looking for today. Do we want to leave it just as it stands now? Or do we want to move forward and try and formulate a resolution?
that's a good summary. I'll say that this is a private transaction between a landowner and the DNR. And if that didn't happen, nothing would change unless they sell. And if they would sell, that those restrictions would follow that land in perpetuity.
Forever.
Hmm?
Forever.
Mm-hmm.
is that correct?
That correct?
Once you do it.
Once you do it, then there is, it follows the land forever.
Yeah, that's correct. Typically our conservation easements are in perpetuity, but again, I'll stress this, that it's the landowner's decision.
That's right.
To do
So they
this.
could, if they didn't do anything, it would just stay the same. They could do whatever they want with it. They could sell it or keep it forever or whatever. They could allow recreational vehicles to pass, So they're the landowner. And
Yep,
what
and-
what this resolution action would mean is that there's some restrictions that would carry with that land forever.
Yes, they're purchasing the deed to the land. That's what he said.
No, clarification, we are not purchasing the deed.
That's
We are
what you
not,
said.
we are not going, we are
Purchasing the
not
deed.
the fee title owner. No, no. This is not a fee title transaction. DNR does not want to buy or be the property owner. This is why the value and benefit of a conservation easement is preferable to the DNR as opposed to a full fee title transaction. We recognize that there's a concern that there's too much publicly owned land in northern Wisconsin. We hear that.
So you could call that a restrictive covenant. That'd be another name for it on that particular property.
It certainly could be. But in this case, it's the tool is a conservation easement that allows the DNR to hold the easement while the landowner retains ownership, stays on the tax rolls, just like it normally would, stays out of public ownership, and it continues to provide the many valued benefits that we continue to see off of these properties. So it's not a fee title transaction by any stretch.
So as it stands, I'm getting that it's going to stay in managed forest land. Most
Well-
likely, doesn't have to, but most likely, right?
Well, again, yeah, and another great point that I want to clarify, the easement and MFL are two very different things.
Correct. No, I understand that
Okay.
part. But the DNR through this easement is purchasing from the current owner, they're giving up the right to develop it any further. It stays as forest land.
That's correct. Yep.
So
Through a check.
As far as our tax base, nothing's going to change if this happens, but we're denying them, or the DNR is saying you can't develop it going forward. If this easement doesn't go into place, they could develop it.
They could sell off smaller and smaller pieces.
They could
Uh,
sell off smaller portions to landowners that
Right.
want it, but you can't build a house.
Right. Yeah, it's still
That's
saleable,
the
but
key.
you can't do anything with it.
You can't build a factory. You can't do anything. You could grow trees on it.
Yep.
Right.
Dead capital.
Hmm?
Dead capital.
Okay, is there anybody else? Michelle?
Hi, I'm back. I'm back. I took my minute off. I guess this is more for him, not for you. But, oh, maybe you too. Okay, so when they were, say they were to enter into this conservation easement, they're going to get that one-time payment, correct? When that payment's complete, is there a timeline left for them that they have to continue to own the land, or could they turn around and sell it the very next day? If they were to sell it,
Mhm.
like obviously they would still have had that check. The next company, business, whatever that buys it, individual, get nothing, correct? It still has to stay in the conservation easement. It never comes out of it.
Correct.
But they really, so for a marketing, I guess, if you guys were to decide, oh, we don't really want that Price County tract, what's going to make it not sit without an owner? Like, does that help? Am I
Yeah.
kind of clear?
Yeah, extremely. We've already done that. So in the past 4 years that we've owned land in Wisconsin, we've already bought 2 of the 3 largest conservation easements where we bought that well after they were established. So we bought properties at fair market value for the timber investment world in a competitive bidding environment against many, many other timber investors. So we've done just that thing on almost 40,000 acres in Wisconsin. It, from an investment long-term horizon in forest lands for a variety of goals and objectives, these conservation easements are actually a vehicle that allows for the timber investment and forest products world to have security of supply, both in acres into the marketplace in which we work, as well as volume to the mills.
So, your turn. Or well, maybe any of you, I don't know. So we have a load, obviously, of county lands that we crop off every year. We have how many tracks up for bids, Jeff, right? I mean, sorry. I mean, I know you're here, so I'm going to pick on you some.
90,000 acres.
So 92,000 acres. What would us putting a vote of approval in for this do to hurt us? I mean, they're still going to be doing it all along, whatever, right? I mean, this is basically a check for them to get some of their investment back by putting it into it, right? But if we're already like a pretty lumber heavy area,
They're gonna get $13,000.
right? But having that track in Price County, is that going to hurt our future sales?
It's already here.
Right, but, well, he said 50 years.
Well,
Like it's in a 50-year.
Right, but it's already managed forest land. It's already being managed as lumber. We have 92,000 acres that we're allowed to cut 2,200 acre, sell off 2,200 acres a year to be cut. So that's already happening around us. It's not like we're bringing in another competitor and it's going to hurt the bidding process on logs.
sure.
Yeah. Now the market slows. There's more the volume of what we cut hasn't changed. The volume of what you choose to cut each year I don't know your limits or allowable cuts, whatever, that's their market. But as far as how it affects the county's decision making, it doesn't. We would just have our 2,200 acres approximately per year. It's usually 24 tracks a year of sales, is what we average, between 20 and 24, 12 in the spring, 12 in the fall. They have a 3-year cutting period. It would not, now market prices, that's a whole
This
different.
transaction wouldn't have any influence on our land at all.
I get the question.
Not on our 92,000 acres, no.
Jason?
If we vote no on this, will you guys still receive Knowles Nelson stewardship money?
I think anything other than affirmative support for the project, yeah, kind of limits us in terms of being able to use state taxpayer money to help with the
Does
acquisition.
that help, Michelle?
Okay, I think we're pretty close to wrapping this up. Looking for motion to support or not support.
I'll make a motion to table it indefinitely. Is that the right way to do it? I'm pretty sure Jordan, when he made his first motion, wanted it tabled indefinitely.
Okay, there's a motion to table indefinitely by Jason. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Doug Erickson.
Thank you, Doug.
Okay, now you're entitled to discuss. We had some discussion before that motion, but now you can further discuss.
I want to go back to what Kopish mentioned a while back. It opens a great big ball of wax that our zoning, our forestry, our Northwest Regional Planning is all involved in land conservation. We're able to foresee this scam for what it is. And we definitely need to do some more digging into our planning for future revenues, right, Nick? It's our job is to get some future revenues here instead of conserving it forever and creating dead capital.
I'll just add, the reason I'm supporting that is that,
Supporting the motion to table?
yes, that I don't think something should be locked in forever, because at some point that could come back to our tax base. If it does get sold off, then it could become part of our tax base by private people. I don't think we should lock something in forever like that.
So there's no vote. How do we keep it from coming
Have to
back
wait for the
again?
no vote. You have to wait to vote. Right now, you're discussing your motion.
So, Evan, you might know a little better. So with MFL, if they were to sell it, somebody private were to buy the 2,000 acres, couldn't imagine writing out that check. But is there like a fee then that they could put in to like buy it back out, say they didn't want that?
Yeah,
Or-
absolutely. Land goes
Right.
in and out of MFL. It goes from MFL open to MFL closed. You can do it after January 1st. You just have to pay the difference in taxes. There's a buyout fee. I don't know
Mhm.
exactly what it is, but it happens all the time. I have friends that have bought MFL land, put it in MFL closed. There's big chunks of MFL land get parceled out and sold. If you look on the MLS right now, there's several parcels of MFL land that are for sale. Staggerwalt Land Services has them listed. Todd Frederickson. If you look, there's some out in Flambeau. There's some up in Lake. There's land all over that's for sale that's currently in MFL open, and they're relatively large chunks. So it does happen where these chunks get sold to private owners. Did that answer your question?
You done?
Bob?
I got lots of questions. Go ahead.
Okay. What exactly happened at forestry? They tabled it, the resolution. So the status there is what?
They're done with it.
My understanding is that resolution is done.
The resolution is done.
If this committee wants to approve or would approve it to move forward, we'd have to have basically the same resolution, but some verbiage changed to make it different.
Okay, so
But it would
the
amount to the
forestry
same
committee's
thing.
done with the issue,
Correct.
basically? Okay. That puzzles me a little bit because of the plan that they have with what we saw before with,
That's not forestry.
That's a land and water resource.
oh, that's land.
Correct.
That has nothing to do with forestry? I mean, forestry doesn't have any
Generally,
sustainable forestry plan?
Oh, yes, there is.
forestry plan deals with county
Yeah.
county forest.
County
Price
owned forest, not private.
Just on Price County Forest?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
that's what the
okay, I
forest-
was confused on it. I thought it was part of forestry. Okay, I'm sorry.
And this plan probably dates back, I don't know.
So
Sorry.
now I understand
I would
why.
guess 2000,
what happened
96,
happened,
2000 was the first plan this came about.
Okay, any other discussion? Jason?
Evan, we have zoning and laws in place to handle land conservation. Isn't that correct?
Well, we have zoning laws in place to handle
Watershed protections, all this and that, right?
to a certain extent.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I think what we'll do is call for the vote, and we're gonna take a roll call. So the motion by Jason Hastings and seconded by Doug Erickson is to table.
I don't want it brought up again. Is that the
Table.
correct one?
Table. That's postponed indefinitely. That ends it.
Table stays within the meeting. Postpone is something you can move to it next to the meeting. Tabling is set something aside in the meeting to bring back.
Bring back.
I said table indefinitely.
Which I think you said postpone.
No, I said table indefinitely.
I have in the minutes,
Should be postponed.
I have in minutes, motion to table indefinitely Hastings and Erickson. But it's up to you. If you want to amend it, you can.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean,
Whatever, you guys want to follow Robert's rules or not. I mean,
Well, we do.
that's postponed. This motion should be postponed. I will amend the motion to say postpone.
Right, because if you,
I mean, if that's what you got.
I'll second it.
So now it's been amended to say postpone. So you got to vote on that language.
Okay. Now we'll take a roll call. Voice on that one?
Changing the language.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed?
Aye.
Now you have the new language of
Postpone.
postponed indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
That's where you're gonna ask for your roll call.
Okay, so a yes vote would mean it would be postponed indefinitely. Okay. Take the roll?
Alan Bergstrom,
Yes.
Michelle Drobnik. Yes. Doug Erickson,
Yes.
Jason Hastings,
Yes.
Robert Kopish,
Oh.
and Larry Mivas. I'm sorry, did you say yes?
All right, that ends the
And
discussion. We'll
they-
move on to,
Oh, the yeses have it 5 yes, 1 no.
okay, department reports.
Yeah, we're getting everything all buttoned up for the end of the year. We've got a couple cost share grants that we're extending into 2026. Snowmobile trails are still not open yet. We're opening gates right now. The clubs have opened gates on the county and federal land. We just don't have enough snow right now. We'll be bidding out,
Thank you, gentlemen.
depending on what the Forest Service has for us, 2 or 3 new bridges for this year that we've got grants from the DNR for. Otherwise, I don't have any new updates. Just end of the year stuff coming up. The land sale is going on right now too. We have 2 parcels left for sale. So we're running that. We have bids on one of them. And that's tax deed land. Yes.
So for future conservation easements, is it the land use that would restrict the conservation easements, or what committee would you go to with that?
To basically restrict any conservation easement.
Yeah, if
moving
somebody was
forward.
gonna do a conservation easement, a private citizen,
I suppose at
forever.
that point, they would do the same process that they've done here. They would come to whatever committee they deem as a committee of jurisdiction and ask for a resolution to forward to county board.
what committee's got jurisdiction?
I imagine any committee could forward a
I guess-
resolution to county board.
Correct. But as chair, my understanding of the whole process and who's got jurisdiction over what, that this is the committee for, instead of
Land
forestry.
conservation, okay.
And really, you could have, if forestry would have passed a resolution in support of that, it would have went to county board anyway.
It would have
So-
still went to board. Yeah, it's still got to go to full board if it gets out of committee.
Right. And I agree with you on your interpretation that this would have been the appropriate one, but maybe 20 years from now, a different board chair might determine that it goes to forestry or executive or administration for that matter. And really, they can go to any committee, and then once
Yeah.
it goes to county board, there's a
It
vote
does,
there.
it touches all the
I got another
all the
question.
committees.
Bob?
Yeah, so again, I'm trying to understand what's going on and how this works. So any conservation easement that any property owner in our county would want to apply for has to go through the county board?
That I don't know. That
Well,
would have
that's
been-
kind of what you made it sound like. I think their issue is because
resolution.
of the funding, they need support.
I
right?
didn't make it sound like. it
My
had to go through
interpretation
us.
But I think a landowner can just go and do it.
Yeah. Unless we restrict them, I'm saying.
Well,
I'm just saying that the county could, if the county had a resolution, we don't have to approve anything for. a
But it's only
conservation
based
easement.
on the funding.
Yeah, this had a-
We don't have a say in the conservation easement.
correct.
In order to receive the state funding, they needed the resolution, but we don't have any
If I have-
authority. We can approve a resolution or not approve it. Yeah, I don't.
If I have 40 acres and I wanted to put it in a conservation, I could.
Yeah.
And I would get whatever somebody wants to pay me for it. And then in perpetuity, that land would stay that way.
You could put your land in a conservation easement if you had an attorney draft that and recorded it on the deed, and you might not get a nickel for it, but
Right.
you could do it. Sure.
I think the committee of last resort is the executive committee. If no other committee wants to take it up, otherwise it's the
Well, kick the can.
determination of the particular committee chair if they want to take that on as an agenda item.
I agree
That's the way I
with what you're
understand it.
saying.
Huh?
But a board chair can also tell a committee chairman to put something on his agenda. That's my understanding of the
Okay,
rules.
I would do it.
Not that I
If you want
would, I talked to you first and we agreed to it.
Yeah,
I mean, but the way I read the rules, a chair can actually place it on any committee's agenda. A board chair can.
Are you telling me just another supervisor can't?
That is correct. Another supervisor can't have something put on a committee agenda unless the committee chair agrees to it.
committee.
The only
chair would
one
have
that
to
can
agree.
override a committee chair is the board chair. Am I interpreting it right based on your experience, Bob?
It doesn't happen very often.
No, it does not. And like I said, I did talk to Alan before it got on this agenda. We both agreed. Yeah,
And there's several, every 2 years, your board chair or your committee chair could change. So one committee chair may say, nope, I want nothing to do with land
I've seen that happen. Where there
conservation
were-
easements.
There
Yeah.
were requests to put something on on an agenda and the committee chair said no, and that's the way it stood.
Right, that's typically what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
And
And in this case, it didn't have to happen either because you agreed to it.
well, I'd rather talk about it than.
Very well put.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if we're able, right? I'm just wondering, as a board, are we able to restrict that so it's not forever, maybe 10 years like North Dakota is?
I don't believe,
That's a state issue?
I don't believe that you can. I mean,
I'm telling you, North Dakota is 10 years.
But that's all of North, it's not a county, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would probably be a state. Cause then you're getting into, you know, at a certain point, you're restricting property rights for people to
Sure. Yeah, I'm just curious.
put their property in easements. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Any other questions for Evan? All right, this committee meeting is adjourned. And we'll move on to the minutes from October 23rd.
Second.
Jeez. You anxious to get out of here? Motion by Bob, seconded by Doug to approve the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Committee vouchers.
I approve.
Oh,
Okay, you got that?
Who's the second?
Bob. All those in favor of the vouchers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Vouchers are approved. Next meeting date, January 22nd.
And then do we want to set a February as well? Sorry, I don't.
What?
It should be on the calendar, man.
Okay, so the date will be the 19th. Sound about
I
right?
can't hear.
February
what's going on.
19th. Mhm.
February 19th would be a follow.
So the January 22nd is canceled?
We just always set 2 out. Even though we've set the whole year, but
Okay, all right,
advertised 2 out.
because we talked about that. All right, anything else? We'll stand adjourned.